Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to another edition of our weekly program, Double Standards. This program we bring to you on every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. In most of the cases, in all the programs, Alan Hart remains as the resident guest and analyst in this program. But Alan Hart is not feeling well, so I shall be doing this program solo today, and just bear with me. As you are aware, the Double Standard program focuses on the political and security development in the Middle East. So we have picked up Middle East, and where about 7 to 8 countries are directly facing the brunt of civil wars, military conflicts, and an unrest, both domestically and in the surrounding nations. Today, as you are aware, this program, in the first half an hour, we discuss a particular issue which is pertaining to the Middle East. And for the first 30 minutes, we discuss that. And then we take a short break. And after the short break, we open the telephone lines. Having said that, this is an interactive and live program where we invite your telephone calls, live calls, so you can call and mostly you ask questions or pass your comments or share your own experience through your extensive knowledge of the same issue. And you asked that from Alan Hart. But as Alan is not here today, so I would be taking your comments, your remarks, or whatever you want to share. And if you ask any question pertaining to today's issue, then I would be happy to answer that as per my own capacity. And when the lines are open, I would urge you to be brief and to the point, because a very large number of callers are in the queue after you. So if you confine yourself to 1 to 2 minutes, that would be very nice of you. And if you want to carry on later on, you can call later on also, and I can call you back, and we can have the further discussion on this issue, and there's no problem at all. Today's topic, as we have picked up, is that can we defeat the ISIL or the IS or Daesh without engaging Iran or without the help of Iran? Big question. As you are aware, yesterday the marauding, sanguinary militant forces of Daesh, they entered Ramadi, the key town of Iraq's biggest province. And up until now, in the last 2 days, more than 600 people, they have been killed. And tens of thousands, they have been left homeless. So a typical case, a typical scenario where the ISIL, they invade one city and they kill people, and in the meantime they make a very large number of people, and they displace them, and they become the refugees. So this happened as the latest development in that part of the world. And if you recollect, last week, a very senior commander of ISIL, who was the deputy of Abu Bakr Baghdadi, with the name Abu Siaf, who was dealing with the transactions of oil and gas, and he was bankrolling the petrodollars, the gas dollars, to the killers. Now he was as he was killed 3-4 days ago. So as a response to that, we have to see two coincident events that took place. That the Saudi-led coalition, a couple of days ago, they resumed their airstrikes on the innocent civilians called the Houthis. And in addition to Houthis, the other also people in Yemen, the peaceful civilians. So they started their air attacks again. And see, that coincided with the fall of Ramadi in Iraq. So here we know that who are providing the command and control to the ISIL and to IS and other names, Daesh. Let's talk. I mean, whatever we have, the different names of this organization. It emerged as Al-Qaeda about 20, 30 years ago. Then we saw Taliban. Then we saw the other franchises like Al-Qaeda in Arabian Peninsula, and then Al-Shabaab and Jaish Fatah, and other names like Al-Nusra and Boko Haram, and the Taliban, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, another name given Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat, and half a dozen other franchisees. I mean, they are surviving, and they are launching their deadly attacks against the civilians, the Muslims as well as non-Muslims. So when they attack the civilians, then they take the plea of the takfiri concept. They have the very hardline ideology of Wahhabism and Salafism, and which they call takfiri. So whosoever does not conform to their rigid ideology of Wahhabism, they call him takfiri. They call him non-Muslim. They call them heretics. So in addition to the Muslims, they are killing Muslims in all parts of the Muslim states like Syria, Libya, Tunisia, Iraq, Pakistan, Kenya, Nigeria, and Yemen, and many other countries. But when they are killing the non-Muslims, they are killing non-Muslims in Kenya, Nigeria, and other parts. And as you can see, the Christians, they have been killed. Their churches, they have been attacked by the franchisees of ISIL or IS. And the Yazidis, those who were living, and they're non-Muslims as well. So they were attacked. Even the Jews were attacked. Even the atheists, they have been attacked. The Christians, Jews, Yazidis, all they have been attacked by these people. And look at the command and control of IS. The command and control comes from the combined leadership, the combined political leadership of Saudi Arabia and Israel. So we can see that there are strong reports that there are hotline connections, hotline telephonic links, and other on the internet, and using all the available means of communication. The military chiefs in Saudi Arabia, like General Gubail, he is in touch with the Israeli head of the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, Major General Gadi Eisenkot. It's not a secret today. Likewise, the intelligence chief of the Saudi Al-Istikhbaratul Amma, which you call commonly as intelligence, common intelligence, the head of that, Khalid bin Humaydan, is in close contact with the Mossad chief, Tamir Pardo. And the king of Saudi Arabia, King Salman, and his defense minister, they are in touch with Bibi Netanyahu and his defense minister. So what is going on? The command and control, computers, communication, and intelligence gathering, that is being done by the combined forces of Saudi Arabia and Israel. And the equipment, I mean, if we put in total, the equipment which is the military equipment which is bought every year by Saudi Arabia and the other 5 Gulf Cooperation Council members, that is in excess of $100 billion per year. With $100 billion, what you can't buy on earth? That you can buy main battle tanks, artillery, modern artillery, rocket propelled grenades. You can buy the rocket launchers, you can buy the motors, you can buy the missiles, you can buy the handheld, the shoulder-held rocket-propelled grenades, and then you can have the latest machine guns, assault rifles, and you can use them, and the Daesh, they are using them. So command and control, the deployment, the military doctrine, that is written by Saudi Arabia and Israel, and that is given to the commanders of Daesh. So this is what they are doing for many years now. So this is not, so just 60 to 70,000 shabbily clad, shabbily trained, but they are determined to kill, and what they are killing is truth. Whether that truth is with the Christians, with the Jews, with the Yazidis or with the Muslims. So they have to kill the truth. They have to sell their ideology at the barrel of the gun. So this is what they are doing. So 60 to 70% people are really, they are running over, they are invading almost all the countries in the Middle East. Wherever they are, they find the sitting duck. I mean, the innocent people, the civilians who cannot defend themselves. So let's see. The US-led coalition is trying its level best to hunt them down. So they, in the last, say, 96 hours or so, they claim, the US-led coalition, that they are they have launched as many as 24 air attacks on the strongholds of the Daesh and ISIL. But despite their unparalleled war machine, command and control, the military prowess, the deployment, and the support from the United Nations, the US-led coalition forces have hitherto failed to eliminate this scourge, this curse, this existential threat to the mankind, not only in the Middle East, but in Africa, in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, in China, in the United States, in this country, our home country. We love this country, but we have the existential threat from Daesh, from ISIL. So hundreds of people, hundreds of youngsters who were radicalized in Lancashire, Yorkshire, Midlands, and other parts of the UK. I mean, they joined and they entered through Turkey in Syria, and they joined the Daesh over there. Now some of them are coming back. Now there are reports now, if we are following that, whatever the number of boats carrying the asylum seekers from Africa, from Maghreb, from countries like Kenya, like Somalia. I mean, they are traveling through the Mediterranean, and they are reaching the EU countries. And a couple of days ago, a few security practitioners and security theoreticians, they wrote articles, and they said that how can we differentiate between a genuine, a bona fide asylum seeker and a Daesh outfit that might disguise as asylum seeker and reaches the EU countries? And God forbid if that happens in France, if that happens in Germany, Italy, in our country, then we will have a cyclical violence in this country. So there are so many threats. Now, how we can address those threats? A very big question is being raised, that can United States alone defeat the Daesh or ISIL? This is a big question, and this is the question which we would be trying to find the solution or answer to this question. And I would try to share my my research with you. But in the meantime, I would welcome you to make telephone calls and share your views and enlighten me and enlighten other viewers who are watching this program live with their experience, with their knowledge about the topic. Now let's see who are the camp followers of Saudi Arabia. And apart from the GCC, the 6 GCC countries, including Saudi Arabia, we have another character with the name Al-Fattah Sisi, who is the president of Egypt, and who must be he would be joyous like a lark when he pressurized the courts, the lower courts, who recommended the death sentence for Morsi, who already got 20 years of rigorous imprisonment on the very false and silly charges. Now, therefore, yesterday he was sentenced to death. Now, again, definitely a very large number of muftis and clerics, religious clerics in Qatar and in Egypt and other parts of the Muslim world, and in addition to those Muslim leaders, the international human rights organizations like Amnesty International, even United States, even Britain, they condemned that decision by the kangaroo court of Egypt that sentenced Morsi to death. So again, the truth is the first victim in this sort of scenario. So we have to see Al-Fatah Sisi, what are his aspirations to emerge as a powerful country in the Red Sea, and from Red Sea approaching the southern the coast of the Mediterranean, and hence controlling the maritime trade in the Red Sea. And that is only possible when he caches his military prowess, his political credo in line with and aligning it with Saudi Arabia. So Al-Fatah Sisi is another character who is outside the GCC, but very much the camp follower. He's happy to provide 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 troops to the Saudi king, who aspires to raise an army of 250,000 people to emerge as the most powerful country, and not only in the region, but in the surrounding sub-regions also, Central Asia and South Asia. So with that, another character we see of Tayyip Erdogan, and I would like to share, we have got some very credible information that Abu Bakr Baghdadi, who is the notorious leader, the supreme leader of Daesh today, on the 15th of March 2015, he was attacked, and his stronghold and in Al-Raqqa, and he moved to other parts, but he was attacked and he was critically wounded. But when he was wounded, you understand that, you know that which country sent the helicopters to rescue him, and now he is recuperating in the military hospitals of Turkey. So Turkey aspires, we do understand what is Turkey's role to be in line with Saudi Arabia's military doctrine in the region. Now, Turkey has been tied to the tail of NATO, but that is half the job is done. The person, if I call the most ambitious Muslims in the so-called secular countries, are the two people like Al-Fatah Sisi in Egypt and Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey. So he aspires to be the member of the EU. They are trying for the last 10 years or so. They have tried almost all the corners, and I don't have any reluctance to mention the names. The former member of the parliament from the Conservative Party, Mr. Malcolm Rifkind, he supported them, he led the show, and he led the lobbying team along with the Baroness Emma Nicholson to ensure that Turkey becomes the member. And then the other people like Michael Ankram, who is Lord Lothian today, and another big leader of the Conservative Party. And then Jack Straw, who despite being the Labour politician, he was in line. He was the member of the team that was helping Tayyip Erdogan and his ambassador in London, Unal Şivikos, to find ways and means to become members. So Turkey becomes member of the European Union. So this is the burning desire of Tayyip Erdogan, that before he reaches the exit in 3 to 4 years from now as president, he makes sure that he brings Turkey in the fold of the EU. The other aspirations that Turkey wants a role, interestingly, in the Central Asia and in the Middle East. Now, a couple of years ago, Unal Şivikos brought a concept paper from Ankara, and he gave that concept paper at Whitehall in front of a very big August House, and about 300-400 people, they were there, the media men in Britain, the people from academia, the parliamentarians from House of Commons and House of Lords, and members of the intelligentsia in Britain. And he unveiled a policy of the strategy, the economic strategy of Turkey, and he proposed the Middle East Economic Forum. So that was a very ambitious plan. So now that did not catch any attention amongst the people who attended that. But of course, Turkey is desperately in search of a big role in the Middle East, just like Al-Fatah Sisi's Egypt is looking for that role. Now, another thing, interestingly, when in 1922 the Ottoman Empire was dismantled and Turkey, a couple of years later, emerged as a republic, as a democratic state. And in the meantime, the same thing coincided when the Najdi Baddu, the adventurous, the marauder of Najd, he organized and he's unified the smaller regions of Saudi Arabia, and he established the Saudi Empire in 1924-25. Now, almost in the similar time, about 10 years from now, both Turkey would be celebrating and Saudi would be celebrating the 100 years of their independent state. Saudi Arabia would be celebrating the centenary of the Saudi monarchy and Saudi Arabia, and Tayyip Erdogan, if he survives and if he is elected again, and maybe as a veteran politician in 10 years from now, he would be celebrating as Turkey as a republic, 100 years of Turkey as republic. So having said that, Tayyip Erdogan is very, very ambitious man. So in addition to that, we have to see the small players, but again, equally ambitious is the Jordanian king, King Abdullah, who claims to have been educated and trained in Standars and the military institutions, the political institutions, the academic organizations of Britain and United States, and he speaks English with the native accent, and that is his biggest qualification on his CV as a political leader of Jordan. So he has provided a dozen of his pilots to join along with the F-16 as part of the Saudi-led coalition. Another person who is the three countries which are traditional, very inveterate, and the long time supporters and the followers of Saudi Arabia, of course, the members of the GCC like UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. So we need not discuss their role because they are the wings. They are the wings and shoulders of Saudi Arabia. So they also, along with Saudi Arabia, they contribute massive amounts. Say, I said at the early part of my program, in excess of $100 billion per year on procuring the weapons and arms every year. So $100 billion is a lot of money. So again, all these 6 GCC countries with Turkey and with Egypt, so these 8 countries, Jordan being the 9th country. So these 9 countries, they were looking desperately to make it a double-digit strength. So they got the support of Israel. Now, there are reports that Saudi Arabia every year for the last 3 years is providing some sort of financial assistance to the government in Tel Aviv under the appellation or under the guise of providing compensation to all those Israeli civilians who in the settlements, who in the occupied territories in the West Bank, they were wounded or they were killed by the Palestinian people who are simply using the catapult, and with the slipshod they are throwing stones. So that is those who have been injured by those stones coming from the catapults of the Palestinians. Saudi Arabia is providing compensation in form of hundreds of millions of dollars every year to Tel Aviv, to those people who were injured. And nobody talks about those 2,200 innocent Palestinians who perished last year. And look at that comparison. So with that, I mean, which way they are going, Israel and the 9 Arab countries, they are on one side providing weapons, arms, command and control, ideology to Daesh and ISIL, but still, whenever it comes to providing troops who really are well trained, professional, and you may call them the Shia militias, when they have entered today in Ramadi. So again, Iran's military doctrine, Iran's non-aggressive, Iran's doctrine comprises, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, as it is said in Quran, Inna Allaha la yuhibbul mu'tadin. So a country which does not believe in transgression, does not believe in going beyond the limits, does not believe in disproportionate use of force, is only one country, that is Iran. So we will discuss more on that how Iran can play a role towards defeating Daesh, and without that role, I can say with an article of faith, the US-led coalition will not have any successes. So we take a short break. When we come back after the break, we will open the telephone lines. We will invite you to make telephone calls and pass your comments, ask any question, and share your own knowledge of today's topic. So we take a short break.